Alright, and welcome to Dilating Polygons about a point. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to dilate this triangle ABC, and we're going to dilate about the point D. Okay? And I'm going to give you all that. We're going to dilate this with a scale factor of 2. Now, what should you do in this case where you're dilating a polygon about a specific point? Well, we want to use our formula, which is going to be this: h plus t parentheses x minus h. Remember what I taught y'all. The first letter and the last letter will always be the same, comma, k plus t parentheses y minus k. And so as you begin to memorize this formula, notice that the first letter and the last letter of each kind of coordinate pair will be the same. Okay, so as we move into this, we should probably label some things. Okay, we see that our point that we are dilating about is point D, and point D is at 2, negative 1. Well, of course, the point that we dilate about will be h, k. We're going to start off with A. So this is kind of the tricky part about this. You're going to have to dilate about multiple points. And so let's say, okay, well, here's point A, and point A is clearly at negative 2, 2. That'll be our x and our y. And our t value, our scale factor, must be a value of 2. Okay, so how are we going to plug this in and what's it going to look like? Well, switching colors just so it's very distinct, we can say that our h value is 2 plus our scale factor is 2 parentheses, and then our x value is negative 2 minus, and remember our h value is what we start and finish with, so 2 and then there's a 2, comma. Now hopefully this one will have a little bit less or some fewer 2's, and here we see that our k value is negative 1 plus 2 parentheses, and here we can say, okay, well, our y value is 2 minus our k value, negative 1. So this one's a little bit easier to see because we have different values than 2. Now from here, we can say, okay, well, we have 2 plus 2 times, and negative 2 minus 2 will be negative 4, comma, negative 1 plus 2. Remember, we do what's inside the parentheses first. 2 minus negative 1, 2 negatives make a positive, and 2 plus 1 will, of course, be 3. Now from here, we're always kind of working more towards the left. We're now going to do our multiplication. So we can say, okay, well, we have 2, and 2 times negative 4 will be negative 8, comma. And here we have negative 1, and 2 times 3 will, of course, be 6. And as I go all the way here to fully simplify this, I know that my a prime value, the first value that I'm finding, will be this. 2 minus 8 is negative 6, and negative 1 plus 6 is 5. Alright, now here's what I'd encourage you to do. I would encourage you to pause this, finish taking any notes, and we're going to repeat the same process for letters B and for letter C. So please watch this full video so you can understand the full concept here. Alright, well, let's go ahead and tackle our point B. So we can go ahead and say, well, where is B? I see that B is over here at 1, 1, and we know that this is the point that's being dilated, so that's our x, y. And of course we have point D, which is still at 2, negative 1, and that is our h, k. And lastly, guys, I put this up top here. Our scale factor is still 2. That will be a t value of 2. Switching colors, just so this really pops out, let's go ahead and look through this. In fact, this time, I want to color code this just a little bit more. So let's talk about everywhere where we see h. H is 2, and then here I can write plus, and I'll leave my scale factor 2 in orange, parentheses, comma. And here, let's go ahead and put our x value in green. We'll say, okay, so there's that 1, okay, and then we can say minus, and then we're back, of course, to our h value again. You'll notice it's going to be 2 again. So hopefully now that this is color-coded, you can see this just a little bit better. So let's go ahead and put our k value in blue as well. So we can say negative 1 plus 2, big parentheses, and here we are going to use our y value in green, 1, oh, come on now, minus, and then back to blue, we have our k value negative 1 again. Okay, now from here, let's go ahead and start simplifying this. Now I want to do these in different colors based on the order. So we have this, we have 2 plus 2, we have our parentheses, comma, negative 1 plus 2, parentheses. And remember, inside your order of operations, you will always tackle what's inside the parentheses first. So 1 minus 2 will be negative 1, and of course 2 negatives make a positive. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay. Now, working through here again, you will always handle our multiplication next, and I'll do this in this nice green color. So we can say, okay, well 2 plus something, comma, and here we'll have negative 1 plus something. And let's go ahead and do some multiplication. I know that 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, and I know that 2 times 2 is 4. Alright, and we can now finish off the simplification. 2 plus negative 2 is 0, comma, and negative 1 plus 4 will of course be 3. So we now have b prime at 0, comma 3. Let's go ahead and find c prime. Okay, so we're now going to start with point C, and we see that point C is here at negative 1, comma, I'll put C right there, negative 1, comma, negative 1. And of course, we know that the point that's being dilated will be our x, comma, y. And now let's go ahead and begin to fill in everything. And remember, I'll be using green to fill in those. So, we have our original formula, and our h value will still always be the same, 2. And we can go ahead and write 2 plus our scale factor of 2, parentheses, and here in the green, we'll go ahead and put our x value, negative 1, minus our y value, which of course back in blue, minus our h value, back in blue, is 2. Okay, parentheses. And here, we now know in the formula, we're looking at k, and we can see that k is negative 1 plus our t value of 2, big parentheses, and in the green we're going to go ahead and write our y value of negative 1. And we know that it'll be negative 1 minus our k value, and remember our k value is here, negative 1. And now we can start to simplify this. Underlining what I'm going to do first in red, remember we always take care of our parentheses first, and so we can say, okay, we have 2 plus 2 times something, comma, negative 1 plus 2 times something. And in red, negative 1 minus 2 will be negative 3. And here, 2 negatives make a positive, and negative 1 plus 1 will of course be 0. Okay, let's go ahead and do our multiplication next. And we can say, okay, well 2 plus or minus something, comma, negative 1 plus or minus something, and in the green, we know 2 times negative 3 will be negative 6, and 2 times 0 will be 0. And lastly, we can just finish this off by saying 2 minus 6 will be negative 4, comma, and negative 1 plus 0 is negative 1. And here's our c prime value, negative 4, comma, negative 1. Now guys, I would encourage you to pause the video, finish taking all these notes, really analyze what are the similarities, what are the differences. You know, if I could give you all one key takeaway, it's that no matter what point you're using, these formulas will be the exact same all the way through, and the only thing that will ever change is going to be this, this x and y value. This is really the only thing that changes. And so you can kind of say, well, once I get into a routine of this and a habit, and I know that that's the only thing that changes, it becomes a very systematic process. Now I want to show you what this really looks like graphically. So pause the video, finish taking the notes. Let me show you all. Okay, so here we have our original problem, and we said we're going to dilate this triangle ABC about this point D by a scale factor of 2. And here's our A prime. We know that it's over here at that should be a negative 6. Negative 6, comma 5. It is way up there. We see that our new B value will be at 0, comma 3, right there. And we see that our C value will be at negative 4, comma, negative 1. Now, if you want to ask yourself, did I do this correctly? You should be able to draw a straight line that goes through your point that you're dilating about, through the point that's being dilated, all the way over here. And I want you all to notice something. This was a distance of 1, 2, 3. And when you look at this scale factor of 2, well, you would expect it to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that whole distance is 6. And that makes sense, that we had a distance of 3 times 2, and our new distance from point D should be 6. It's twice as long. Okay, switching back to this nice green color, we could draw a line from A to A prime, and we could draw a line from B to B prime. Now I don't even want to stop there, because check this out. So we drew these straight lines. We know that we did this correctly, but here's the other thing we can say. If we were to connect these points, by the way, let me label them. There's A prime, there's C prime, and there's B prime. If we could connect these points, you'll notice something interesting as well. We've actually created a three-dimensional figure. We've actually created a pyramid. You'll notice where this is almost a little slice. It's a horizontal slice of that pyramid, if you can visually see that. Alright guys, well that's my lesson for that. Once you understand this, once you use that formula, it's literally the same steps over and over and over and over again. So really take care to complete each one of these problems, and good luck.